The alarm never sounds in the Wales household at Adelaide Cottage. Instead, Si's flutter opened naturally at 6:15 a.m., her internal clock finely tuned after years of royal duty. The soft morning light filters through the cream-colored curtains of their Windsor home, casting gentle shadows across the bedroom where she and William sleep. Stretches quietly, careful not to wake her husband who lies beside her, his breathing deep and steady. The house holds that special morning silence that every parent knows, the calm before the beautiful chaos of family life begins. She slips from beneath the Egyptian cotton sheets, her bare feet touching the cool wooden floor. Her first stop is always the same, a quick peek into each of her children's bedrooms. Prince George, now 11, sleeps sprawled across his bed, his school uniform already laid out on the chair nearby. 9-year-old Princess Charlotte clutches her favorite stuffed animal, her dark hair spread across the pillow like a small angel. 6-year-old Prince Louis, their youngest, has somehow managed to sleep upside down, his feet on the pillow and his head at the foot of the bed. Smiles at this familiar sight. Louis has been a spirited sleeper since he was a baby, and she's learned to find joy in these small, everyday moments that most people never see. She gently adjusts his position, and he stirs slightly but doesn't wake. The princess makes her way downstairs to the kitchen, where she begins the morning routine that grounds her day. Unlike the grand state rooms of palace, Adelaide Cottage feels like a real home. The kitchen has warm wooden cabinets, a farmhouse-style sink, and family photos scattered on the counters alongside school notices and shopping lists. Fills the kettle and sets it on the stove. While waiting for it to boil, she opens her laptop and quickly scans through the day's schedule that her private secretary has prepared. 3 official engagements, a virtual meeting with her early years foundation team, and a school pickup at 3:30 p.m. She makes mental notes about outfit changes and travel times. The kettle whistles softly, and she prepares her first cup of tea of the day, Earl with just a splash of milk. She takes a moment to stand by the kitchen window, cradling the warm mug in her hands, watching the royal protection officers do their morning security check in the garden. Even in this peaceful moment, she's acutely aware that her life is never truly private. At 6:45 a.m., she hears the first stirrings upstairs. Charlotte's voice calling out for her mother. Climbs the stairs, knowing that once she enters Charlotte's room, the day will officially begin in earnest. "Good morning, my love," she whispers, settling on the edge of Charlotte's bed. "Did you sleep well?" Charlotte, still groggy, snuggles into her mother's lap. These quiet moments together are precious too. In a few hours, she'll be shaking hands with dignitaries and smiling for cameras, but right now, she's simply a mother comforting her daughter. "I had a dream about our puppy again," Charlotte mumbles. "Can we really get one soon?" Laughs softly. The puppy conversation has been ongoing for months. "We'll see, sweetheart. Remember, we need to make sure we have enough time to take proper care of a puppy." Soon, George appears in the doorway, his hair sticking up at odd angles. "Mum, I can't find my football kit. We have practice today." "Did you check the laundry room?" asks, though she already knows she'll end up helping him look. This is the reality of her mornings, royal duties intertwined seamlessly with the ordinary chaos of family life. Louis bounces into the room next, fully awake and chattering about something that happened in his dream involving dinosaurs and ice cream. Listens patiently, asking questions and showing genuine interest in his imaginative story. She's learned that these conversations, however fantastical, help her children feel heard and valued. By 7:15 a.m., all 3 children are downstairs in the kitchen. Moves efficiently between tasks, spreading jam on toast, pouring orange juice, checking that homework is in backpacks, and reminding George about his football boots. She's mastered the art of multitasking that every working mother knows, royal or not. William appears in the kitchen at 7:30 a.m., already dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark trousers. He kisses good morning and ruffles each child's hair, eliciting giggles and protests in equal measure. "Dad, you're messing up my hair," Charlotte complains, though she's smiling. "That's my job," William grins, grabbing a piece of toast and checking his own phone for the day's schedule. Watches this family interaction with deep satisfaction. Despite the unique pressures of their royal roles, they've managed to create something wonderfully normal for their children. Breakfast conversations about school projects and weekend plans, gentle teasing between siblings, the comfortable rhythm of a family that genuinely enjoys being together. At 8:00 a.m. sharp, the school run begins. has already changed into a knee-length dress in navy blue, paired with low heels suitable for walking. She's learned that royal fashion must be practical above all else. She needs to be able to move freely, sit comfortably, and look appropriate for any unexpected photo opportunities. The drive to school takes 15 minutes through the Windsor countryside. Often uses this time to listen to her children talk about their upcoming day, their worries, their excitement about various activities. She's discovered that some of the most important parenting happens during these car rides, when her children feel relaxed enough to share what's really on their minds. "Mom," George says from the back seat, "there's a new boy in my class. He seems quite shy. Should I invite him to sit with us at lunch?" His heart swells with pride. "That sounds like a very kind idea, George. How do you think it would feel to be the new student?" These conversations reinforce the values that she and William work hard to instill in their children: kindness, empathy, and awareness of others' feelings. Despite their privileged position, they want their children to understand that everyone deserves respect and friendship. At school, walks her children to their respective classrooms, greeting other parents with warm smiles and brief conversations. She's careful to maintain the balance between being friendly and maintaining appropriate boundaries. Other parents have learned to respect her need for relatively normal interactions while acknowledging her unique position. The other mothers chat about weekend plans and school events and participates naturally in these conversations. She mentions Charlotte's upcoming school play and asks another mother for advice about George's interest in learning guitar. For a few minutes, she's just another parent navigating the everyday challenges of raising children. After saying goodbye to Louis, her youngest, returns to Adelaide Cottage to prepare for her first official engagement of the day. The transition from mother to princess happens gradually during the 15-minute drive home. She mentally reviews her talking points for the morning's visit to a children's hospital, checking her phone for any last-minute schedule changes. Back home, she has exactly 45 minutes to complete her transformation from school-run mum to working royal. She heads upstairs to her dressing room, where her stylist has already prepared 3 outfit options for the day's various engagements. Has developed a systematic approach to her royal wardrobe. Each outfit must photograph well, be appropriate for the specific venue and audience, be comfortable enough for hours of standing and walking, and send the right message about the importance of the cause she's supporting. Today's hospital visit calls for something professional yet warm, approachable yet respectful. She selects a burgundy coat dress that she's worn before to medical facilities. The color is rich enough to look dignified in photos but warm enough to seem welcoming to the children she'll meet. She pairs it with nude tights, low black heels, and simple jewelry, her engagement ring and wedding band, plus small pearl earrings. As she applies her makeup, thinks about the families she'll meet today. The children's hospital visit is particularly close to her heart, as it relates to her early years work focusing on the critical importance of childhood development. She reviews the briefing notes her team has prepared, memorizing names and details about the specific children she'll meet. Her makeup routine is efficient but thorough. Foundation that will look natural under camera flashes, mascara and eyeliner that won't smudge during emotional moments, lipstick in a shade that complements her outfit without being too bold. She's learned that royal makeup must be visible enough to define her features in photos, while subtle enough to never be the focus of attention. At 9:45 a.m., stands in front of her full-length mirror, checking her appearance one final time. The woman looking back at her bears little resemblance to the casual mother who was spreading jam on toast just 2 hours earlier. Her hair is perfectly styled in gentle waves, her outfit is immaculate, and her posture reflects years of royal training. Yet as she picks up her small handbag and walks toward the front door, her mind is already shifting into official mode. The children she'll meet today are facing serious medical challenges. Their families are navigating frightening and uncertain situations. Her role is to bring moments of joy and hope, to highlight the incredible work of the medical staff, and to use her platform to draw attention to important healthcare initiatives. Her protection officer opens the front door and steps outside into the crisp morning air. The official car is waiting, engine running, ready to transport her into her public role. As they drive through the Windsor gates, she takes a deep breath and settles into the rhythm of official duty that will carry her through the next several hours. The morning sun climbs higher in the sky as the royal convoy makes its way towards central London. In a few hours, will return home to resume her role as mother, helping with homework and preparing dinner. But for now, she belongs to the public, ready to fulfill the duties that come with her unique position in British society. The Black Range Rover glides through London's morning traffic, its royal standard fluttering gently in the breeze. Sits in the back seat, reviewing her briefing folder one final time while London's familiar landmarks roll past the tinted windows. Her protection officer, Sarah, sits in the front passenger seat, speaking quietly into her radio to coordinate with the advanced security team already positioned at Great Street Hospital. Has visited this renowned children's hospital many times over the years, but each visit feels as important as the first. Today's engagement focuses on a new mental health initiative for young patients dealing with chronic illnesses. As someone who has made children's the cornerstone of her royal work, these visits represent far more than ceremonial duty. They're deeply personal missions. "Ma'am will be arriving in approximately 8 minutes, Sarah informs her. The hospital's chief executive, doctor, will meet you at the main entrance along with the head of child psychology, Dr. Sarah. There are approximately 30 members of the media present." Nods, closing her briefing folder. She's memorized the key information. The names of the 5 children she'll meet individually, details about their conditions, and the specific goals of the new therapy program she's there to launch. Each child has been carefully selected not just for their inspiring stories, but for their comfort level with meeting a stranger, even a friendly princess. The car turns onto Great Street and can see the familiar red brick facade of the hospital ahead. Small crowds of people line the sidewalk. Some are hospital staff on their breaks, others are families of patients hopping for a glimpse of the royal visitor. Waves through the window, her smile genuine despite the formal nature of the moment. As they pull up to the entrance, takes a brief moment to center herself. She knows that for the next 2 hours, her every expression and gesture will be scrutinized, photographed, and analyzed. More importantly, she knows that her presence here might be the highlight of a difficult day for the children and families she'll meet. Doctor, a distinguished woman in her 50s, steps forward as emerges from the car. "Your Royal Highness, welcome back to Great Street. We're absolutely delighted to have you here today." "Doctor, it's wonderful to see you again. Thank you for all the incredible work you continue to do here," replies, shaking hands warmly. She's genuinely fond of Doctor, having worked with her on several previous initiatives. The media cameras click rapidly as walks the few steps to the hospital entrance, but she's learned to tune out the constant sound of photography. Her focus is entirely on the people she's here to meet and the important work she's here to highlight. Inside the hospital's bright, cheerfully decorated lobby is introduced to Doctor and several other key staff members. She listens intently as Doctor explains the new therapy program, asking thoughtful questions about implementation and funding. Questions aren't just polite conversation. She genuinely wants to understand how the program works and how it might be replicated in other hospitals. The integration of art therapy with traditional counseling has shown remarkable results, Doctor explains as they walk through the hospital corridors. Children often find it easier to express difficult emotions through creative activities rather than direct conversation. Nods thoughtfully. That makes perfect sense. Art can be a safe way to explore feelings that might be too overwhelming to put into words directly. Their first stop is the new therapy room, where 8-year-old Emma is working on a painting with her therapist. Emma has been receiving treatment for leukemia for 6 months, and the hospital staff had mentioned that she's been struggling with anxiety about her treatments. "Hello, Emma," says softly, kneeling down beside the little girl's wheelchair. "That's a beautiful painting. Can you tell me about it?" Emma looks up shyly, her bald head covered by a colorful knitted cap. "It's my family," she whispers. "We're all holding hands in our garden." Studies the painting carefully. "I can see how much love is in this picture. Look how big you've made everyone's smiles. And is that your dog there?" Emma's face brightens. "That's Buster. He's waiting for me at home. Mummy says he misses me lots." "I bet he does. Dogs are wonderful at knowing when we need extra love, aren't they?" Spends several more minutes with Emma, genuinely interested in every detail of her artwork and her stories about Buster. As they move to the next room, Doctor quietly explains Emma's situation too. She's responding well to treatment, but the uncertainty has been difficult for the whole family. These art therapy sessions have really helped her process her emotions. In the adolescent wing, meets 16-year-old Jake, who's been in and out of the hospital for 3 years due to a rare genetic condition. Jake is initially reserved, clearly unsure what to make of this famous visitor. "I hear you're quite the footballer," says, settling into a chair beside his bed. "My son George is absolutely football mad. Do you support a particular team?" Jake's expression shifts slightly. "Arsenal," he says with a hint of pride. Grimaces playfully. "Oh dear, I'm afraid I can't help you there. I'm rather partial to Liverpool myself, but George would love to hear about your favorite players." This breaks the ice, and soon Jake is chatting animatedly about football statistics and memorable matches. Listens with genuine interest, occasionally asking questions that show she actually knows quite a bit about the sport. Their conversation flows naturally from football to school, from hospital life to his plans for the future. "The thing is," Jake confides, "everyone always asks how I'm feeling physically, but nobody really asks about the other stuff. Like how weird it is to miss so much school, or how my mates don't really know what to say when I finally get back." Nods seriously. "That sounds incredibly isolating. It must be exhausting to feel like you have to protect other people's feelings about your illness while you're the one going through it." Jake looks surprised that someone understands this particular challenge. "Exactly. It's like I have to pretend everything's fine so they don't feel bad." "That's far too much responsibility for anyone your age to carry," says gently. "Have you been able to talk about that with anyone here?" This conversation leads naturally into a discussion about the new peer support groups the hospital is implementing, where young patients can connect with others facing similar challenges. Can see how much this kind of connection means to Jake, and she makes a mental note to follow up on the funding for these programs. In the children's cancer ward, meets 5-year-old, who greets the princess with a shy curtsy that she's clearly been practicing. Smother Mrs. stands nearby with tears in her eyes. "Your Royal Highness," Mrs. says, "has been so excited about meeting you. She's been telling everyone about the princess who's coming to see her." Kneels down to Slevel. "Well, I've been very excited about meeting you too. I heard you're very brave." Giggles. "Mummy says I'm brave like a lion. Do you want to see my lion drawing?" For the next 20 minutes, sits on the floor of the playroom, looking at drawings, helping her complete a puzzle, and listening to elaborate stories about magical kingdoms where all the animals are friends. The photographers capture these moments, but is completely absorbed in its imaginative world. "In my kingdom," explains seriously, "nobody gets sick and all the children can play outside every day." "That sounds like a wonderful kingdom," responds. "What's your favorite thing to do there?" "Flying with the birds," says without hesitation. "They take me anywhere I want to go." His heart clenches at the poignancy of this response. Who spends most of her days confined to hospital rooms and treatment chairs, dreams of ultimate freedom. "Flying would be amazing. Where would you go first?" As their conversation continues, is struck by his resilience and imagination. Despite facing treatments that would challenge many adults, this little girl maintains an optimistic view of the world and an ability to find joy in small moments. After meeting with several more children and their families, joins the hospital staff for a brief meeting about the funding and expansion of the mental health programs. These behind-the-scenes conversations are just as important as the public moments, as they allow her to understand the practical challenges and advocate effectively for solutions. The demand for these services has increased dramatically over the past 2 years, Doctor explains. "We're seeing more anxiety and depression among our young patients, partly due to social isolation during their treatment periods." Takes notes and asks detailed questions about training requirements, space needs, and the possibility of creating similar programs in regional hospitals. Her team will follow up on these conversations in the coming weeks, working to connect the hospital with appropriate funding sources and policymakers. As her visit concludes, is escorted back through the hospital corridors. Staff members line the hallways, and she stops to shake hands and chat briefly with nurses, doctors, therapists, and cleaning staff. She's learned that acknowledging everyone's contribution is crucial. The hospital runs on the dedication of hundreds of people, not just the doctors who get most of the attention. "Thank you for the incredible work you do here every single day," she tells a group of night shift nurses. "The families you serve are so fortunate to have your expertise and compassion." Outside the hospital, pauses for a brief conversation with the media. She speaks about the importance of mental health support for young patients and their families, carefully avoiding specific details about the children she's met to protect their privacy. "The resilience I've witnessed here today is truly inspiring," she tells the gathered reporters. "These children and their families face unimaginable challenges with grace and courage. Our job is to ensure they have every possible support available to them." As her car pulls away from Great Street Hospital, looks back at the building through the rear window. Behind those walls are dozens of children fighting battles that no child should have to face, supported by families who had to become stronger than they ever imagined possible. She pulls out her phone and makes a quick voice note for her private secretary. "Follow up on funding for peer support groups, particularly important for adolescent patients. Also explore possibility of connecting their art therapy program with other children's hospitals nationwide." The morning's engagement has energized rather than drained her. These visits remind why her role matters beyond the ceremonial aspects. When she uses her platform to highlight important causes and connect with people facing real challenges, she feels the genuine impact of her position. Her next engagement is across London at a primary school in East London, where she'll be launching a new early years literacy program. The drive gives her time to transition mentally from the hospital's serious atmosphere to the energetic environment of a school full of young children. The royal convoy navigates through East London's bustling streets, passing Victorian terraced houses and modern apartment blocks that reflect the area's diverse community. Sits quietly in the backseat, allowing herself a few moments to decompress from the emotional intensity of the hospital visit while preparing mentally for the completely different energy she'll encounter at primary school. Her private secretary, James, briefs her on the afternoon schedule through her earpiece. "Ma'am, primary has 380 pupils, with 73% receiving free school meals. The Mrs. Sarah Wilson has been there for 8 years. You'll be launching the Reading Together program, which provides books and reading resources for families to use at home." Nods, reviewing the key statistics in her briefing folder. This visit represents one of her core beliefs, that a child's earliest years are crucial for their future development, and that educational support must extend beyond the classroom to engage entire families. She's particularly passionate about literacy programs, knowing that reading skills developed early create foundations for lifelong learning. As they approach the school, can see colorful handmade banners hanging from the windows. "Welcome, Princess," and "We love reading." Small faces peer excitedly from classroom windows, and she waves up at them, causing squeals of delight that she can hear even through the car windows. The car stops outside the school's main entrance, where Mrs. Wilson waits with several staff members and a group of Year 6 pupils who've been chosen to welcome their royal visitor. Steps out, immediately struck by the warm, vibrant atmosphere that radiates from the school building itself. "Your Royal Highness, welcome to primary," Mrs. Wilson says, her Scottish accent warm with genuine enthusiasm. "Our children have been absolutely beside themselves with excitement for weeks." "Mrs. Wilson, thank you so much for having me. I can feel the wonderful energy here already," replies, shaking hands with and then turning to the group of young pupils. 11-year-old steps forward with a carefully rehearsed speech. "Your Royal Highness, we are very honored that you came to our school today. We have prepared some special things to show you." Kneels down slightly to be closer to eye level. "Thank you for that lovely welcome. I'm the one who's honored to be here. I've heard wonderful things about, and I'm excited to see what you've been working on." The group of children beam with pride, their nervousness melting away under warm, genuine attention. She's learned that children respond best when adults treat them with respect and real interest, rather than talking down to them. As they walk through the school's bright corridors, is immediately impressed by the displays of student work covering every available wall space. Colorful paintings, creative writing projects, science experiments, and mathematical problem-solving exercises create a visual celebration of learning. "We believe in showcasing every child's achievements," Mrs. Wilson explains. "Many of our pupils don't get much recognition for their academic work outside school, so we make sure their efforts are celebrated here." Stops to examine a display of poems written by Year 3 students about their families. One poem, written by 7-year-old, describes helping his grandmother learn English words by reading picture books together each evening. "This is beautiful," says, reading the poem carefully. Clearly understands how reading can bring families together and help people connect across language barriers. In the school library, is introduced to the Reading Together program she's there to officially launch. The initiative provides each family with a carefully selected collection of books, along with guidance for parents on how to make reading time engaging and educational. Mrs. Jennifer, the literacy coordinator, explains the program's approach. Many of our families want to support their children's reading, but aren't sure how to make it enjoyable rather than feel like homework. We provide books that appeal to different interests and reading levels, plus simple activities that families can do together. Picks up one of the activity guides, noting how it suggests ways to discuss stories, ask questions that encourage critical thinking, and connect books to real-life experiences. This is exactly the kind of support that can make such a difference. Reading shouldn't feel like a chore, it should be a shared adventure. In reception class, sits on a tiny plastic chair, surrounded by 4- and 5-year-olds who are eager to show off their reading skills. Teacher Miss has prepared a special story time, but the children are more interested in telling about their own favorite books. "I like books about dinosaurs," announces 4-year-old Tyler, holding up a picture book. "Did you know that T-Rex had really small arms, but they were still very strong?" "I didn't know that, Tyler. That's fascinating," responds with genuine interest. "Do you think having small arms made it harder for T-Rex to do certain things?" This question sparks an animated discussion among the children about dinosaur anatomy and capabilities. Listens intently to their theories, occasionally asking follow-up questions that encourage them to think deeper about cause and effect. 5-year-old Maya tugs on sleeve. "Princess, do you have children?" "I do, Maya. I have 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. George is a bit older than you, and Louis is about the same age." "Do they like stories?" Maya asks. "They love stories. In fact, Louis especially loves books about dragons and adventures. What kind of stories do you like best?" Maya considers this seriously. "I like stories about families and animals. Do your children like animal stories?" Finds herself drawn into a genuine conversation with Maya about favorite books and characters. These interactions remind her why early years education is so important. Young children are naturally curious, creative thinkers who just need adults to nurture and encourage their interests. Miss then invites to read a story to the class. She's chosen The Tiger Who Came to Tea, a beloved classic that most of the children already know. Sits cross-legged on the carpet, surrounded by 20 eager little faces. As she reads, uses different voices for each character and encourages the children to predict what will happen next. When the tiger eats all the food in the house, the children giggle and offer suggestions about what the family should do. "Maybe they could ask the neighbors for food," suggests 6-year-old. "That's a very thoughtful idea. What would you do if a tiger ate all your food?" asks. "I would give him a sandwich and ask him to save some for my little brother," replies seriously. Is struck by the kindness in this response. "That shows you're a very caring big sister." After story time, moves to year 4, where she participates in a reading comprehension activity. The children are working with a text about environmental conservation, and they've prepared questions to ask their royal visitor. 9-year-old raises his hand. "Princess, what are you doing to help protect the environment?" Is impressed by the directness and importance of this question. "That's an excellent question. My family tries to do several things. We use renewable energy at our home. We try to buy local food when possible, and we teach our children about the importance of not wasting resources. What about you? What do you and your family do?" This leads to a rich discussion about recycling, energy conservation, and individual responsibility. Is struck by how informed and passionate these young people are about environmental issues. They share examples of family recycling programs, walking to school instead of driving, and turning off lights to save electricity. "You're all environmental champions," tells them. "The planet is lucky to have young people like you who care so much about protecting it." In year 5, joins a creative writing workshop where students are composing letters to their future selves. 10-year-old shares her letter, which includes hopes about becoming a doctor and helping sick children get better. "That's a wonderful goal. What made you interested in becoming a doctor?" asks. "My little cousin was really sick when she was a baby, and the doctors made her better. I want to help other families like mine," explains, is moved by the maturity and compassion in its response. Medicine is a challenging but incredibly rewarding field. The most important quality for a doctor is exactly what you already have, caring about helping others. During lunch break, join several families in the school hall for the official launch of the Reading Together program. Parents and grandparents have come to receive their book packages and learn about supporting literacy at home. Mrs. Fatima, mother of 2 pupils at the school, approaches. Your Royal Highness, thank you for bringing this program to our school. Sometimes I feel unsure about helping with homework because my own English isn't perfect, but these books look like something we can enjoy together. Spends time talking with Mrs. and other parents about the challenges of supporting children's education while managing work schedules, language barriers, and economic pressures. She's learned that listening to these real-life experiences is crucial for understanding how educational programs can be most effective. The most important thing is spending time together with books, tells the group of parents. Children learn more from seeing that their families value reading than from perfect pronunciation or grammar. After lunch, visits the school's sensory garden, where children with special educational needs work with teaching assistants to explore learning through gardening and outdoor activities. She meets 8-year-old, who has autism and has been struggling with traditional classroom environments. It's made incredible progress since we started outdoor learning sessions, explains Mrs., his teaching assistant. He's much more comfortable expressing himself when he's working with his hands in the garden. Kneels beside who's carefully planting seeds in small pots. Hello, those look like they're going to grow into beautiful plants. Do you know what kind of seeds these are? Looks up briefly. Sunflowers, they grow very tall, taller than me, taller than you. You're absolutely right. Sunflowers can grow incredibly tall. Do you think these ones will grow taller than the school building? Considers this seriously. Maybe, if they have enough water and sun. Spends several more minutes with, following his lead in the conversation and showing genuine interest in his knowledge about plants and growing conditions. She observes how much calmer and more communicative he is in this outdoor environment compared to the structured classroom setting. As her visit nears its end, gathers with the entire school in the assembly hall. More than 300 children sit cross-legged on the floor, their faces turned toward her with rapt attention. I've had the most wonderful afternoon getting to know all of you, begins. You've shown me your amazing artwork, shared your favorite books, taught me about dinosaurs and environmental protection, and demonstrated what a caring, creative community looks like. She talks about the importance of curiosity and kindness, encouraging the children to keep asking questions and helping each other learn. Remember that every single one of you has unique talents and perspectives that make our world more interesting and beautiful. The children listen intently, occasionally whispering to each other or giggling at gentle jokes. She's mastered the art of speaking to large groups of children in a way that feels personal and conversational rather than formal and distant. Before I go, I want you to know that reading isn't just about the words on the page. It's about using your imagination, learning about different people and places, and discovering that stories can help us understand ourselves and others better. As prepares to leave, the children present her with a handmade book filled with their own stories and illustrations. Each class has contributed pages about their dreams, their families, and their hopes for the future. This is absolutely precious, says, carefully turning through the pages. I will treasure this always, and I promise to share it with George, Charlotte, and Louis. Walking back through the school corridors, reflects on the afternoon's interactions. The energy and enthusiasm of the children, the dedication of the teachers, and the engagement of the families have reinforced her belief in the power of education to transform communities. As she settles back into the car for the journey home, makes several notes about potential follow-up actions. Additional funding for outdoor learning programs, expansion of family literacy initiatives, and connections between this school and others implementing similar approaches. The late afternoon sun slants through the car windows as they drive back toward Windsor. In just over an hour, we'll need to transition once again from public figure to private mother, helping with homework and preparing dinner. But first, she has one more stop to make. The royal car moves smoothly through London's late afternoon traffic, but its final official engagement of the day feels worlds away from the bustling city streets. Kensington Palace looms ahead, its Georgian facade bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. Today's last appointment is perhaps the most important of all, a private meeting with representatives from 5 different charities that form the core of her philanthropic work. This isn't a public event with photographers and formal protocols. Instead, it's the kind of behind-the-scenes work that rarely makes headlines but drives real change in the causes cares about most. The meeting has been months in the planning, bringing together leaders from organizations focused on early childhood development, mental health awareness, addiction recovery, arts education, and family support services. Enters through a side entrance to avoid any media attention, making her way to the small conference room where her team has set up for the 2-hour strategy session. The room overlooks the palace gardens, where the autumn leaves create a tapestry of gold and amber. "Good afternoon, everyone," says as she settles into her chair, accepting a cup of tea from her private secretary. "Thank you all for making time for this discussion. I know how busy you all are with your incredible work." Around the table sit 6 individuals whose organizations has worked with for years. There's Dr. Michael Roberts from the Early Years Foundation, Sarah Mitchell, who runs a network of family support centers, James from a mental health charity focusing on young people, Williams from an addiction recovery program, and Maria Santos, who leads arts therapy initiatives. "Before we begin, I want to share some observations from today's visits," says, pulling out the notebook she's been writing in throughout the day. "This morning at Great Street Hospital, I saw firsthand how art therapy is helping children process complex emotions about their medical treatments. This afternoon at Primary, I met families who want to support their children's learning but need practical guidance and resources." She pauses, looking around the table. "Both experiences reinforced something I've been thinking about for months. We need better coordination between our various programs. A child dealing with a chronic illness might benefit from literacy support. A family struggling with addiction might need early years guidance. These challenges don't exist in isolation." Dr. Roberts leans forward with interest. "That's exactly what we've been discussing in our organization. We keep encountering families who need multiple types of support, but they have to navigate different systems and applications for each one. What if we could create a more integrated approach?" asks. "Not just coordination between existing programs, but actual collaboration that addresses families holistically." For the next hour and a half, leads a detailed discussion about practical collaboration. She asks probing questions about funding structures, staff training requirements, evaluation methods, and potential pilot programs. This isn't ceremonial involvement. She's genuinely engaged in the strategic planning and problem-solving aspects of charitable work. Sarah Mitchell describes a particularly challenging case. "We're working with a single mother whose 4-year-old son shows signs of developmental delays, but she's also dealing with her own depression and financial instability. Currently, she has to work with 4 different organizations to get comprehensive support." "How could we streamline that process?" asks. "What would ideal support look like for a family in that situation?" The conversation becomes increasingly specific and practical. They discuss shared intake procedures, cross-training for staff members, coordinated funding applications, and integrated outcome measurements. Takes detailed notes and asks for follow-up reports on specific pilot program possibilities. "I'd like to propose a 6-month trial program," says as the meeting draws to a close. "We identify 20 families who could benefit from multiple services and assign them dedicated coordinators who work across all our organizations. We track both the outcomes for the families and the efficiency improvements in our delivery." The enthusiasm around the table is palpable. These charity leaders have been working in silos for years, wanting to collaborate but lacking the platform and resources to make it happen. Involvement provides not just coordination, but also the credibility and visibility needed to secure funding and institutional support. As the meeting concludes, walks each participant to the door, spending a few additional minutes with each one to discuss specific aspects of their work. These individual conversations often prove as valuable as the formal meetings, allowing for more candid discussions about challenges and opportunities. "Your Royal Highness," Maria Santos says as she gathers her papers, "having your support for this collaborative approach could revolutionize how we serve families. The children I work with through arts therapy often need exactly the kinds of holistic support we've been discussing today." Smiles, "Maria, please, you don't need to thank me. Your expertise and dedication make this collaboration possible. I'm just helping to connect the dots. By 4:45 p.m., is back in her car, heading home to Windsor for the most important part of her day, time with her own family. The transition from public figure to private mother never gets old, but it does require conscious mental shifting. She uses the 45-minute drive to decompress from the intensity of the day's engagements while anticipating the different kind of energy waiting for her at home. She calls William on the car's hands-free system. "Hi, darling, how was your day?" "Good, thanks. George has football practice until 5:30, and I'm just picking up Charlotte and Louie from their after-school activities. How were the hospital and school?" Smiles at the familiar rhythm of their end-of-day check-in. "Really wonderful, actually. The children at the hospital were incredible, so resilient and full of personality, and the primary school was buzzing with energy. The literacy program launch went brilliantly." "Excellent. Louis has been asking all day when you're coming home. He has something very important to show you, apparently." "Oh dear, should I be worried?" Laughs. "Probably. It involves glitter and what he claims is a masterpiece for your office." As they chat about the children's day and evening plans, feels the familiar sense of homecoming that defines her happiest moments. No matter how fulfilling her royal duties are, nothing compares to the simple joy of being needed by her children for help with homework, stories about their day, and bedtime cuddles. The car turns through the gates of Adelaide Cottage at exactly 5:15 p.m. Can see Louis's face pressed against the front window, and he disappears immediately, presumably to run to the front door. By the time she reaches the entrance, all three children are waiting for her. "Mummy," Louis practically launches himself into her arms. "I made you something amazing at school today, and Daddy said I had to wait until you got home to show you." Scoops him up, savoring the feeling of his small arms around her neck. "Hello, my love. I can't wait to see what you've created." Charlotte and George greet her with slightly more reserved but equally warm hugs. At 9 and 11, they're beginning to develop the kind of independence that makes their affection feel chosen rather than automatic, which treasures. "How was your day, sweetheart?" asks Charlotte. "Did you have art class today?" "Yes, we're working on self-portraits, and mine actually looks like me now instead of a potato with hair," Charlotte giggles. Laughs. "I'm sure it was never that bad. You've always been artistic." George, ever practical, has already moved on to more pressing concerns. "Mum, can you help me with my maths homework after dinner? We're working on fractions, and I understand it when the teacher explains it, but then I get home and it stops making sense." "Of course, darling. Fractions can be tricky, but once you get the hang of them, they're actually quite logical." William appears from the kitchen, wearing an apron and looking slightly harried. "Perfect timing. I was just starting dinner, and Louis has been bouncing off the walls waiting to show you his artwork." Changes quickly into jeans and a comfortable sweater, feeling the last vestiges of her formal royal persona slip away. Downstairs, the kitchen is filled with the cheerful chaos of family life. Homework spread across the kitchen table, Louis's art project carefully displayed on the counter, Charlotte practicing piano in the adjacent room, and William managing multiple pots on the stove. "Right then, Louis," says, giving him her full attention. "Show me this masterpiece." Louis proudly presents a painting covered in glitter and featuring what appears to be their family standing in front of a rainbow. "It's us, and we're all happy because the sun came out after the rain," he explains seriously. "Louis, this is absolutely beautiful. Look at how you've made everyone's faces so joyful. And I love how the rainbow has so many different colors." She spends several minutes examining every detail of his artwork, asking questions about his artistic choices, and listening to his elaborate explanations. This kind of focused attention is what considers one of the most important parts of parenting, showing her children that their interests and creations matter. Dinner preparation becomes a family activity. Charlotte sets the table while practicing piano scales under her breath. George helps William with the vegetables while explaining a complicated situation with his friend at school. Louis helps by taste-testing everything and providing running commentary on the day's events. "At school today, Mrs. Anderson said we're going to learn about space next week," Louis announces. "Did you know that some planets have more than one moon?" "I didn't know that, Louis. Which planets have multiple moons?" asks. This leads to an enthusiastic discussion about the solar system, with each child contributing facts they've learned and theories they've developed. And William listened with amusement as their children debate whether humans will ever live on Mars and what aliens might look like. During dinner, shares age-appropriate stories from her day. She tells them about Emma's beautiful painting at the hospital and about Tyler's enthusiasm for dinosaurs at the primary school. "The children I met today were so curious and creative, just like you three," she says. "They reminded me how lucky I am to meet young people who are passionate about learning and helping others." George, always interested in the practical aspects of his mother's work, asks thoughtful questions. "Mom, do you think the reading program you launched today will actually help children get better at school?" Considers this seriously. "I hope so, George. The research shows that when families read together regularly, children develop stronger language skills and do better in all subjects. But the most important thing is that it helps families spend quality time together, just like we do." After dinner, homework time begins in earnest. Sits with George at the kitchen table, working through fraction problems with patience and encouragement. She's learned that helping her children with homework requires the same careful attention and clear explanation skills she uses in her royal engagements. "Let's think about this differently," George says when he gets frustrated with a particularly challenging problem. "If you had a pizza cut into 8 pieces and you ate 3 pieces, what fraction of the pizza would you have eaten?" George's face lights up with understanding. 3/8, and there would be 5/8 left. "Exactly. Now you can apply that same thinking to this problem." Meanwhile, William helps Charlotte with her English essay about her hero. Charlotte has chosen to write about Jane and listens with pride as her daughter talks about the importance of protecting animals and the environment. Louis, having finished his reception homework with impressive speed, entertains himself by creating elaborate stories with his toy dinosaurs while the older children work. Occasionally gets drawn into his imaginative narratives, which somehow always end up involving dinosaurs who need help solving problems. Bath time and bedtime routines begin at 7:30 p.m. Has learned that maintaining consistent evening routines helps her children transition from the excitement of the day to the calm needed for good sleep. She takes turns reading bedtime stories, listening to their prayers, and having quiet conversations about their hopes and worries. "Mummy," Charlotte whispers as tucks her into bed, "when you met those children at the hospital today, were any of them scared?" Considers her response carefully. "Some of them might have been scared sometimes, sweetheart. Being in hospital can feel scary because it's different from home, and when we're not feeling well, everything seems harder." "Did you help them feel less scared?" "I hope so. Sometimes just having someone listen to you and show interest in what you're thinking about can help. What makes you feel better when you're scared?" Charlotte thinks about this. "Cuddles, and when you tell me stories, and knowing that you and Daddy will always take care of me." His heart swells with love for her thoughtful daughter. "Those are all wonderful ways to feel better, and you're absolutely right. Daddy and I will always take care of you no matter what." By 8:30 p.m., all 3 children are settled in their beds, and William collapses onto the sofa in their sitting room, finally alone together for the first time since early morning. "Long day," William says, pulling close to him. "Good day, though," replies, settling into his embrace. "The hospital visit was really moving, and the school was so energetic and welcoming, and the strategy meeting this afternoon was incredibly productive." They spend the next hour talking about their respective days, sharing insights about their work and discussing upcoming family plans. These quiet evening conversations are precious to both of them, a chance to reconnect as partners and friends after spending the day focused on their children and their public duties. "I've been thinking about our Christmas plans," says. "The children are getting old enough to really participate in organizing charity events. Maybe we could involve them in selecting which organizations to support this year." William nods thoughtfully. "That's a brilliant idea. It would help them understand that having privilege comes with responsibility, but in a way that feels empowering rather than burdensome." At 10:00 p.m., makes her way upstairs for her own bedtime routine. She checks on each sleeping child one more time, adjusting blankets and collecting the books and toys that have migrated onto floors during bedtime stories. In her bedroom, takes a few minutes to review her schedule for tomorrow while applying her evening routine. 3 more engagements, a virtual meeting with her patronages, and George's parent-teacher conference in the evening. As she settles into bed beside William, reflects on the day that's ending. From the vulnerable children at the hospital to the enthusiastic students at the primary school, from the dedicated charity workers to her own precious family, the day has been filled with meaningful connections and genuine purpose. "Thank you for holding everything together at home while I was out today," she says to William. "Thank you for representing our family and our values so beautifully in everything you do," he replies. Turns off the bedside lamp and closes her eyes, already looking forward to tomorrow's opportunities to serve, to learn, and to come home once again to the people she loves most in the world. In the darkness, she can hear the familiar sounds of their home settling into nighttime quiet, the gentle hum of the heating system, the distant sound of wind in the trees outside, and the peaceful breathing of her sleeping family. Tomorrow will bring new faces to meet, new causes to support, and new ways to use her unique position to make a positive difference. But tonight, she's simply wife, mother, and woman who's found deep satisfaction in a life dedicated to service and love.